Today I'm going to introduce you to poetry in English classes. First of all, some of the important literary terms in order to talk about poetry are words like stanza, meaning vers in Danish, lines, rhyme schemes, rhythm and meter. I will explain to you what rhyme schemes and rhythm and meter is in this video. First of all, I'm going to introduce you to a world-famous kind of poetry called sonnets. A sonnet is traditionally a praise to someone or something. A sonnet consists of 14 lines with a certain end rhyme scheme. Of course, I'm talking about traditional poetry. In modern poetry, you could see sonnets that will not have a certain end rhyme scheme. There are two different kinds of sonnets, the Petrarchan or Italian sonnet and the Shakespearean or English sonnet. When it comes to the difference between the Italian and the English sonnet, it is the rhyme scheme, meaning the end rhyme. As you can see, there are 14 lines, first line rhyming on the fourth line in the Italian sonnet. So the Italian sonnet has a rhyme scheme called A, B, B, A. That's the first quatrain. The second quatrain is a repetition, A, B, B, A. The last 6 lines are a sestet, being 3 lines repeated twice, C, D, E, C, D, E. So 14 lines with an end rhyme scheme like this. Shakespeare in the Renaissance reinvented the sonnet, but changing the rhyme scheme a bit. So the typical Shakespearean or English sonnet has a rhyme scheme called AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, G, G. The first 4 lines is the first quatrain, being a praise to someone or something. The second quatrain, CD, CD, is again a praise, but in a new way to someone or something, the same thing and the same someone. EF, EF often gives a surprise to the reader. It might be a negative side of the thing that has been praised in the first 8 lines, and GG is the conclusion the conclusion of the praise to this certain thing or this certain someone. So let's just sum up. How many lines is a traditional sonnet? Well, traditionally always 14 lines. What is a traditional sonnet about? Traditionally, it is a praise to someone or something. The difference between the Petrarchan and the Shakespearean sonnet is that the rhyme scheme is different in the Petrarchan and the Shakespearean sonnet. Petrarch was an Italian poet, and Shakespeare reinvented the sonnet but with a new rhyme scheme. Why are sonnets important in English classes? Well, because Shakespeare is a worldwide famous British writer who was writing 154 sonnets and also more than 40 plays. So of course the sonnet is important in English literature. Rhythm and meter. Let's talk about rhythm and meter. I will tell you first what rhythm is and then afterwards meter. The reason why I have put the two terms together here is because we often determine rhythm and meter together, but they are two different things. Let's start with the rhythm. When it comes to the rhythm, we are looking at the syllables in a line of poetry. A syllable is a vocal sound. We have a number of words that only consist of one syllable. Monosyllabic words like dog, house. There is only one vocal sound. And of course, we have other words consisting of more than one syllable, being polysyllabic words, constant, surprise, thoroughly, indefatigable. When we have determined how many syllables there are in a line of poetry, we are looking at the stressed and unstressed syllables. The stressed syllables I will mark with a slash, and the unstressed syllables I will mark with a small u. The word dog only consists of one stressed syllable, dog. The word constant has two syllables, one stressed and one unstressed. Constant. The word surprise is different from constant. It's only two syllables. It has three vocals, but it only has two vocal sounds, being two syllables. And the syllables, the first syllable of the word is unstressed, followed by a stressed syllable. Surprise. Constant, stressed, unstressed. Surprise, unstressed, stressed. Of course, we have words with more than two syllables, like thoroughly. If we take a look at thoroughly, the first syllable, it has three syllables. The first syllable is stressed, followed by two unstressed syllables. Thoroughly. When we're talking about the rhythm, first of all, each rhythm is called a foot in poetry. The first foot is an iamb, being an unstressed followed by stressed syllable. Surprise. That's an iamb. The second one is the opposite of an iamb. It's the trochee, being a stressed followed by an unstressed syllable, like in the word constant. Anapest has three syllables, two unstressed syllables followed by a stressed syllable. If I say, I'm here, the words I am are unstressed and here is stressed. I'm here. The opposite of an anapest is the dactyl, which is a stressed syllable followed by two unstressed syllables, like in the word thoroughly. The last two rhythms, I'm not going to give you an example of these, and they are normally added in poetry in order to create some kind of irregularity in the rhythm of the poem. The first one is called a spondee, being two stressed syllables, or a pyrrhus, being two unstressed syllables, but they are not used that much, but mostly in order to create irregularity in a poem. If you want to know more about rhythm, you can watch this YouTube video. When we have determined what rhythm the poem is in, we can count the number of feet, the number of rhythms in a line of poetry. And that's the meter. So the meter measures the number of feet in a line of poetry. If I have two rhythms in a line of poetry, it's called the dimeter. If I have 3 feet or 3 rhythms, it is called a trimeter. If I have 4 feet, it's called a tetrameter. If I have got 5 feet in a line of poetry, it's called pentameter. The reason why I've highlighted this one is because that is the most typical one for at least Shakespearean poetry. 6 feet is called a hexameter, 7 feet septameter, 8 feet octameter, and so on. But the most popular one is the 5 feet meter called pentameter. Let's take an example of rhythm and meter. I look at each line of the poetry, of the poem. In this case, I have a line of Shakespeare, if music be the food of love, play on. That's an iambic pentameter. First, I determine that the words are unstressed, stressed. If music be the food of love, play on. So unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, and so on. And if I count the number of iambs in this line, I have 5 iambs. So meaning iambic pentameter. If music be the food of love, play on. That's an iambic pentameter, and that's how you were supposed to read Shakespeare. That's how you still read Shakespeare today. Your assignment is now that you have to write your own sonnet. You have to write a sonnet in which you praise your favorite food, maybe your breakfast this morning. You praise your favorite animal, your dog, your pet at home. You may praise your favorite video game, your favorite movie, or something else. But just to think of something you really, really like. Maybe it could be your computer. Write a praise to your computer. You have to use the Shakespearean rhyme scheme being A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. The first 2 quatrains, meaning the first 8 lines, has to be a praise for your favorite thing or person. You can also write to your girlfriend or boyfriend if you want to. The next 4 lines is called the turn of volta, and it often contains some kind of surprise to the reader. For instance, like let's take you're writing a sonnet for your computer. The first 8 lines, you praise your computer about what it looks like, how it functions, the design of the computer, and so on. In the turn, the volta, the 3rd quatrain, you will write a surprise. Maybe that you like this computer that much that it doesn't give you much sleep. You will go to bed too late because of this computer. So there is a dark side of the thing that you are praising. So some kind of surprise. And in the last 2 lines called the couplet, 2 rhyming lines, you write the conclusion of your overall sonnet, your praise to your favorite thing or person. I recommend that you write it, the rhythm and meter, you write it in iambic pentameter. Of course, you can write it in trochee or dactyl, trochee or anapest, not dactyl. But I think iambic pentameter is maybe the easiest one to use, so try the iambic pentameter. If you want to watch another video on how to write your own sonnet, you can watch this YouTube video. Good luck with your sonnet.